Dragons of Harmony, Captain Celeano, and Spike the Dragon Pirate set. This set was exclusive to Walmart and is very, very, very hard to find.
What's happening, guys, and welcome back to the channel. For today's video, we're going to be checking out the Transformers Rise of the Beast Deluxe Class Nightbird. One of 3 Terracons to grace the latest live-action movie, and one that I am so excited to see. I mean, we unfortunately haven't gotten a great look of her in the latest trailer. You know, we may or may not have seen her flying around towards that final battle, but in terms of a figure and a translation from G1 into live action, I don't think this is a bad looking figure at all. So let's take a look at her details. Here we have that live action movie Nightbird head sculpt, and easily recognisable as the old character in my opinion. I think they've done a pretty sweet job. Initially I was under the impression that these pieces were dreads, you know, like the dreads from Transformers Dark of the Moon, but it doesn't appear to be that, sadly. It does just look like it's the shape of the helmet, but some really nice metallic purple highlights. And at least to me, she kind of gives me Predator vibes, especially with the angles and, you know, these pieces flaring off the hips, and definitely with this blade sticking out the side of the arm. But as we come around to the back, I don't think the kit was too bad for a deluxe class. You know, this is the first live action movie figure we're seeing of this character, so they never really get it 100% first time around. And you know what, not too bad at all. I think she'll be able to fly in the movie, so it's kind of cool that these pads can open up, and you know, you can definitely imagine these emitting some kind of exhaust to propel her through the air to fight alongside the Terracons, which I thought was kind of cool. And we even get some nice neck details. The Terracon logo slap bang in center, which looks very accurate to Scourge's head sculpt, which I thought was kind of cool. But we do have to talk about the elephant in the room, and that's the shade of brown they've used for the arms and this chest piece. Now, honestly, I'm not too sure why they went so heavy with the brown. I know she has this kind of colour in her vehicle mode, but not to the extent of this. I think it could have looked way better had they spruced up some of these pistons with maybe the purple we're seeing on the kneecaps, or even if they'd used some of this grey plastic or black just to break it up, as it does just look like a lot of brown in one place. But you know what, it does take some getting used to, but it doesn't look terrible. We get some nice details here for the mid-torso. I really like the arms. I mean, like I said, this bayonet, I think it's going to pop out of her arm in the movie, and you can just imagine her taking a nasty slash into the Autobots, which I thought was kind of cool. And then we work our way down here to this piece. Now, I know this looks a little strange from a proportion perspective, but I do believe this is accurate to the character model. So we're just going to have to wait and see if we get a good glimpse of this character in the Super Bowl trailer. But, you know, here we have these kind of samurai plates on the side of the hips, which don't look too bad, you know, just in a static pose, but are a little restrictive as far as articulation goes, which is unfortunate. But nice purple bursts there for the kneecaps. I like the mechanical detail on this figure. You know, you can see some shocks and pistons scattered throughout the legs, which I thought was cool. And I love how they've created the high heels out of the rear wheel and this front toe piece. That's super cool. And even as we come around to the back, I mean, we get some hollowness due to the way the legs fold up for transformation, but they even smacked in a nice piston, which I thought was cool. And there you can see the shocks on the high heels, which I thought was really sweet. Now, articulation wise, she is a little fiddly, and something which kind of gets on my nerves would be the chest. You know, when you're just handling her, if you put any type of pressure on this back piece, it will pop up the chest. So I do wish this could have maybe snapped in a little better, but we get a nice ball joint hit the head, which can look up to a pretty decent range. So, you know, you can have her flying through midair, which I thought was kind of cool. It can also look down, tilt side to side, as well as rotate left to right. So not too restrictive despite these pieces of the helmet. We get a great range out of the shoulders, so these can rotate pretty much any way you want. These pieces can hinge up and down, which I thought was kind of cool. Nice rotation there out the biceps, single jointed elbows, and nothing out of the wrist. And that's sadly due to this MechTech port. So, you know, despite this being weapon compatible, it is a shame that it has limited this rotation. But you know what? Really and truly, they could have put the wrist swivel in this section, and I don't think it would have harmed anything. So, yeah, that's a little lazy. We do get a waist joint, but this is where you're going to see some of the compromises. I mean, the backpack literally just bumps into all of this, so that's a bit of a shame. I mean, technically, you could kind of hinge this out slightly and bring it over panels, but then, you know, pieces are just going to start mistransforming, etc. The hips can kick forwards with no problems at all, which was sweet, as well as can kick back pretty decently, but the outwards range is not the greatest, but you know what, not terrible. And due to transformation, these pieces here can extend and can rotate, so if they do get on your nerves, you know, maybe you can cheat a few things. That is a slightly better range. Now, due to transformation, we get a nice swivel at the thigh, as well as technically a double jointed knee, so no problems there at all. And then finally, we get a fantastic ankle pivot, which can bend way past the natural position, which I thought was kind of sweet. So, you know, not too bad. The design, of course, is limiting, but not to the extent where I think this is going to be a garbage figure. Now, in terms of additional accessories, she also comes with this really nice sword, which will act as her spoiler in vehicle mode. Some nice metallic purple bursts, and sculpt work-wise, not looking too bad at all. Now, for whatever reason, if you didn't want her holding it, you can come around to the back, and there are two little tabs, which you can just snap this here into, and that is weapon storage for robot mode. So, let's get into a few comparisons. So, first up, we have her compared alongside the previous female baddie, that being Shatter from the the Bumblebee movie, and if Nightbird turns out to be half as awesome as this character, then we're definitely in for a treat, as Angela Bassett did something so awesome with this character, and it's such a shame that they killed her off. They always kill off the best villains. Lockdown died, Sentinel Prime died, Shatter and Dropkick died, Blitzwing died. Why can't they just keep these villains around? So I'm hoping if she is a cool villain, that they keep her on for the next Transformers movie. Here's the Studio Series Bumblebee movie: Dropkick, Mainline Rise of the Beast Deluxe Air Razor, Rise of the Beast Elton John, Studio Series Rise of the Beast Bumblebee, the Studio Series Air Razor, Bumblebee movie Studio Series RC, and it's so awesome to see these female characters finally done right for live action.